Hi everyone, we're here at John Sadler's Auto Repair. And today we have a 2005 Honda Civic that came in with 118,000 miles on it for a timing belt service. And so here's some of the parts. When I do these services, you can buy a lot of kits. And the one thing I noticed, I bought a kit from a company called NPW, which is a Japanese kit. And their water pump looked fine. It said made in Japan on it. But if you look at the spacing from the impeller to the body of the pump, it's got quite a bit of space there. And if you look at the one that comes from Honda and put them side by side, you can see the impeller blade is a different material. It's a little bit bigger size, and it's real close to the bottom of the housing. This one is raised up from the housing. So what that tells me is that this Honda one's going to have better flow. This is the original one that came with the car. It lasted 118,000 miles, so that's the one I'm going to use. So I'm just going to save this for a future job or whatever. And it'll work fine, but it's just not the optimal one that you want to have for the car. And then we did the timing belt, and it says Honda on it, then it also says Gates. And I got a new Honda belt, and you can see how the routing's pretty straight across here. The new Honda belt, I didn't like it, so I bought one from Gates. So the pump drives on there, then you have a tensioner that spins inside of there. So we replace the tensioner. Then you have a seal on the camshaft, and you have one on the crankshafts. This is the top one, and this is the bottom one. And then there's a spring that hooks on the tensioner. Now this has a little thing that says up on here, and when I took it apart, it was like this on the, let's put this in the right hole for you here. It was like this. When you look at the directions from Honda, the spring is supposed to go like this, and it says up on it so you can see it where it says up there. So the customer told me the vehicle had never been taken apart, but it was in wrong. So just because you take something apart and it's a certain way, when you put it back together, you got to get the factory correct information, put it back how it belongs. The reason they have it facing this way instead of this way, if something goes wrong or this belt starts to move, that little piece right there of the spring is going to dig into the belt. Then we put a new valve cover gasket on it. Then it also has some grommets that hold the valve cover in place. There's 5 of them. And the trick to these is Honda usually won't change them, but this is like rock hard, the material. The bolt that goes through here has a little shoulder on the bolt, and the bolt's only going to go so far. So you need to replace these as far as I'm concerned. Then the spark plugs go down inside the cylinder head, so it has what's called spark plug tube seals. There's 4 of them on the vehicle, just like there's 4 spark plugs. Then it has 100,000 mile NGK spark plugs in it. We put the same 100,000 mile NGK spark plugs back in it again. The cooling system, hadn't had anything done to it, so we put a new water pump. If you can see the shiny spot in the thermostat there, where it's all shiny, then as I rotate it around, you can see it's all dull. It's supposed to look dull all the time. When you see a shiny area like that, that means that thermostat has stuck at one point and it's rubbing against that housing, and it's not supposed to do that. So we went ahead and put a new thermostat also from Honda. Then the air filter had been quite a while, so we put a new air filter in it. So I got the job all done, I'm warming it up, and one thing I wanted to show you also is its exhaust manifolds crack sometimes. And I'll get a pointer so I can show it to you. I was looking right along there, and there's a crack from right there to right there. It hasn't gone through the whole manifold yet, but it's cracked right there. That straight line going up there, I cleaned it off with a wire brush. So I'm taking it over to my friend's exhaust shop, and I'm going to have him weld that crack. Instead of waiting for it to get bigger and start leaking exhaust out of it, it's going to affect the oxygen sensor because the oxygen sensor is right next to it. So we're going to get that welded. So one of the things to do is to always look around what you're working on, look in the area where you're working on it. I've had the vehicle for several days. I got everything buttoned up. I'm watching it run. I'm looking around real close and I see that crack. Customer's going to be very happy. We took a picture of it so we can show the customer when they come in. Instead of show them the weld, we can show them where it was cracked. So when you do a timing belt job, I just recommend you buy the parts from the manufacturer. This is a small little difference. The way that this is set inside here like this. But this pulley is higher up. And so it's not going to have, and these are smaller impellers, so it's not going to have the same flow as the Honda one. So you've got just a small 4-cylinder engine. Why do you want to have less flow? Now granted, this other pump is $30 more, but I want more cooling flow. I don't want to take this apart for another 100,000 miles. Also, when I took the lower timing cover off, just coming apart, it came apart like this. It was already cracked there, and there's another little ear that goes inside of here that was broken off when I removed it. And all the bolts that hold everything together on the engine were super tight. So when they put this motor together and built this vehicle, everything was way tighter than it was supposed to be. It didn't need to be like that. But you have to have patience and you have to go through the procedure. And when you get this job done, I want to make this video so you can see what's all involved when you get a timing belt. If they just want to change your timing belt for $199.95, it's really going to be a disservice because it's 3 or 4 hours labor to go back later and change your water pump, change these oil seals, change all these grommets, your thermostat. The best thing to do is do preventive maintenance. This customer is so happy they can drive this vehicle for another 100,000 miles and not have to worry about it. Thank you very much. Have a nice day.